your views on the market's performance today?
Well, the market was down today about roughly 100 basis points. I think investors are still quite jittery about the political situation. We had violence erupt just post the presidential elections on Monday, and it's extended a little bit even up until today. And there's likelihood we could also see some of it tomorrow. We have governorship elections coming up on Tuesday. I think investors would like to get a lot more clarity post those elections before they get a lot more confident. You saw there was a rally on Monday reflecting the enthusiasm post Jonathan gaining quite a majority of votes.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about results that have come out this week, starting off with Dangote Sugar, which reported their full year 2010 results. Turnover up 9%, profits after tax down 14%. What do you make of their results?
Well, I think the results were quite disappointing, but they to a large extent reflect weaker demand for refined sugar and also higher raw sugar prices. I mean, as you know, the price of raw sugar has gone off quite significantly. Even yet to date, it's been up by over about 40%. And the reason why we're seeing somewhat pressure is because of tight supply globally. Australia, which is currently the third largest exporter of the commodity, has recently seen about roughly half of its sugar crops destroyed by the level 5 storm that hit them in February. So that is pretty much the situation impacting Dangote Sugar and every other sugar refinery within the region.
They do have a recovery strategy, though, Dangote Sugar. They're talking about, at a retail level, introducing vitamin A sugar, which will be repackaged and be more appealing to the consumer. And then in terms of production, they're introducing a fleet of new haulage trucks to try to get more raw sugar into the system and also within their distribution networks. Will this help?
Well, for starters, they've always produced vitamin A fortified sugar. It's minimum requirement here by the drug agency. So it's not new. I think what is really different now is the introduction of retail products, as you said. The retail market is a lot more stable. They're able to transfer pricing. So that will obviously help stabilize the company's profitability. The industrial market, wholesale market, if you call it that, is a lot more volatile. And you also have customers or clients, that can obviously access the international refined market on their own. So exploring the retail end of the market obviously creates a lot more stability, as you see in some of the other sugar refineries elsewhere in the region. I think the likes of Mumia Sugar is a case and example where they've been able to build quite a robust retail product, which represent 40% of their total products, and that has been able to push their margins quite significant in the last 2 years.
In terms of offering decent returns for shareholders, what do you say when you look at Dangote Sugar? Is it a buy? Is it something that investors should consider doing?
Well, we currently have a negative rating on the company, a negative outlook, and sell rating. And the reason for that is simply because of the price of raw sugar. I think it would have been a different case if they produced their own raw material locally, but sadly they have to import from Brazil. So with sugar prices currently, flirting with the $800 a ton level, it's very, very unlikely that we'll see any traction in terms of earnings over the medium term. Also, the fact that they'll be more likely to pass on that price increase to the direct consumer makes it very difficult for us to see any significant gain in sugar demand. Sugar has got a relatively high elasticity of demand, so that when prices do go up, there's the chances that the consumer pulls back a little bit in terms of consumption.
Other results coming through: PZ Cousins, Nigeria, their full year ending February 2011. Turnover up just marginally though, 1.79%. Profits after tax up 6%. Your views?
We think that was a pretty good set of results. We're quite bullish on PZ, and we have a bullish rating a buy rating on the company right now, with upside of close to about 40%. So I think this results basically confirm outlook on the company. I think the biggest story that you have in those results is that there's been an improvement in terms of consumer spending, which has been a bit of a drag for the company over the second half of 2009 to the first half of 2010. So we're seeing government spending helping to push consumer spending, but I think a lot has to be done more on the private side, which I think is still lagging because of lack of credit to the private sector.
Let's talk about that a little bit, just by way of what we're likely to see regarding the growth of the real economy, because obviously a lot of people are quite excited about the Nigerian consumer, the fact that the country has a critical mass, and that a lot of fast-moving consumer goods and consumer goods in general, those companies should be able to do well in Nigeria. When you look at PZ operating in Nigeria, can they capitalize on this rising middle class, on consumer spending, if all the fundamentals are right?
Without a doubt they can, but there are obviously short-term challenges or headwinds that has prevented them from growing earnings like they could. I mean, we're obviously seeing very strong growth on the top line, but we would like to see a lot more at the bottom line. And obviously to do that, you obviously have to be able to pass on prices. It's a relatively competitive environment, and then you have to deal with headwinds from rising raw material prices, as I just explained in the case of Dangote Sugar. They depend a lot on imported tallow, which is animal fat. And that is because there's very low capacity in terms of producing palm oil, for producing stuff like detergents and soaps. So I think not until we get some stability in raw material prices, it's very likely that they'll continue to struggle with the situation with raw prices or growing earnings. But I think that, you know, over a 5-year period, the prospect for the company are very strong. As you're probably aware, they recently announced a deal with Wilmar International, which is one of the largest agri-businesses in Asia. So what that basically means is that they will be helping Wilmar to sell edible oil, which they've gone into, which their parent company, PZ Manchester, has gone into partnership with producing edible oil.